At 1:07 a.m., the sky over Lake Superior was moonless, no stars, no horizon, just black water and colder air than anyone expected.
Confirming
The
glide
aircraft's
slope
instruments
capture.
glowed
Altitude
softly,
2000, runway in
greens and
sight.
ambers, while the lake below swallowed every
Affirmative,
reflection.
maintaining flight
There
level
was no
8000.
visual reference,
Everything
no
is reading
shoreline,
green
no
here.
comforting line where sky meets earth, just darkness, vast and absolute. And then something went wrong. Not the kind of wrong that screams at you. The quiet kind.
Checklist complete.
The
After
kind
takeoff.
that lets you keep breathing
Roger.
while it
Continuous
tightens the
climb
room
approved.
around you, inch by inch. By the time anyone spoke, they
Come on,
all
give me
knew
the right
the
reading.
same thing. If this
Why is
continued
that
for even
gauge
a few
sticking?
more minutes, no one would make it home. Yet they did. Tonight, you're going to hear what happened over Lake Superior at 1:07 a.m. and more importantly, why they lived. And before we go any further, if you're drawn to true suspense, real-life survival, and stories that linger long after the screen goes dark, take a second to subscribe. These stories are rare, and once they're gone forever. Now,
Before takeoff,
let's
checklist
rewind.
continued.
Lake Superior
Transponder
isn't
automated
just big.
standby.
That
Navigation
word
lights
doesn't
on.
do it justice. It's cold,
Confirmed.
deep,
We
and
are
ancient.
we are
A
good to
body
go.
of water so vast it creates its own weather. Storms appear without warning. Waves stack like walls. Temperatures drop with no mercy. Sailors have a saying about it. Lake Superior doesn't release its dead. That's not poetry, that's physics. Even in summer, the water temperature hovers low enough to steal breath in seconds. In fall and winter, it becomes something else entirely, a liquid trap that shuts down muscles before
Declaring
panic can even
emergency,
form.
hydraulic failure
Flying over
confirmed.
it at night
We
means
require
trusting
immediate
instruments
vectors.
completely. There's nothing outside to help you. No lights, no landmarks,
Captain, we are
no
reaching
second
flight level
chances.
350.
The crew that night knew
The ride
all
is
of this.
smooth and the
They'd
systems
flown
are
this
all
route before
nominal.
many times. Routine can be dangerous like that. It convinces you that familiarity equals safety. It doesn't. There were 4 people in the
Center, this
aircraft,
is aircraft
not
31
strangers,
Zulu,
not
maintaining flight level
tourists,
31,000,
professionals.
request weather
The
update.
pilot had logged thousands of hours. Calm voice,
Clipper 3-2, maintain
methodical,
flight level 290.
known for never rushing decisions.
Roger that. Center,
The co-pilot
maintaining
was
290.
younger, sharp, eager, but disciplined.
Cruise altitude,
A
flight
listener,
level 340.
someone who checked, then
Fuel
rechecked.
remaining 7,000.
In the back, 2
Systems
passengers.
nominal.
Colleagues heading home after a long week, exhausted but relieved, the kind of tired that feels earned. They talked quietly before takeoff. Weather, coffee, weekend plans. Nothing felt ominous. That's the trick with real danger. It rarely announces
Integrated
itself.
standby flight
At 12:42
display.
a.m., they lifted off.
APU
The shoreline
status
lights
normal.
faded quickly behind
Secondary
them,
systems
and
check
Lake
complete.
Superior
Center,
opened
November
up beneath
38,
the
maintaining
wings.
flight level 350.
It wasn't a
Currently
sound.
banking left.
It wasn't a warning alarm. It was a feeling. The pilot later struggled to describe it. He said it felt like the aircraft was thinking too long before responding. Not sluggish, just hesitant.
Clipper 41,
He
cleared for
adjusted
visual
slightly,
approach, runway
checked the
28 right.
instruments.
Contact
Everything
tower
looked normal.
118.3.
But instincts don't
Set
need
flaps
data.
20 before
They
landing
need
checklist.
patterns. And
Flaps
something
20,
about the
checklist
pattern
complete,
is wrong.
confirmed.
At 1:01 a.m., the co-pilot noticed a discrepancy. Small, almost ignorable. A number that lagged behind where it should be. He pointed it out
Tower,
casually.
we have an
No alarm in
unidentified
his
object.
voice.
Looks like a bright
pilot
pulsating
nodded.
light at
They
11
monitored.
o'clock.
Seconds passed. The number didn't correct.
Altitude
That's when
holding steady at
silence entered the
350.
cockpit. Not awkward
Confirmed. Winds look
silence,
good for the
focused
next sector.
silence. The kind where every breath is
47.
measured.
Raw
Flying at
documentary
night over
footage,
land is
handheld
forgiving.
camera,
There are
natural
towns,
lighting,
roads,
shoreline lights growing
reflections.
slightly brighter.
Over Lake Superior
Roger
there
that.
is nothing.
Center,
No
we
sense
are
of motion,
stabilizing at
no
the
visual
flight level
confirmation of
350.
altitude.
Everything
Your
looks
inner
good now.
ear lies to you. Pilots are trained for this. They're taught to ignore their bodies and trust the instruments. But what happens when the instruments might be lying too? At 1:04 a.m., the pilot requested a systems check. The co-pilot ran through it line by line. Everything
parameters
still
nominal,
appeared normal,
maintaining course
but the
052.
hesitation was growing. Control
Checklist
inputs
complete,
felt
Captain.
heavier, then lighter, then heavy again.
Flight 54,
Not
runway
failure,
27 right, clear to land.
instability, and
Clear to land,
instability
flight
over Lake
54.
Superior is worse than outright malfunction because it tempts you to wait. At 1:06 a.m., a warning tone finally broke the quiet. Not loud, not panicked. Just enough to confirm what they
Vertical
already
speed check,
feared.
2,000 feet per
They were
minute.
losing something essential.
Altimeters
Altitude,
synced.
power, accuracy. The instruments disagreed with each other. One said they were stable. Another suggested a slow descent. Another flickered, then steadied again. This is where people die, not from panic, but from indecision. The pilot had seconds to choose which reality to believe. He looked at the co-pilot. They didn't speak. They didn't need to. They both understood the same truth. If they trusted the wrong instrument, they would fly a perfectly controlled aircraft straight into the lake. Most people imagine panic
Thrust
as
levers reduced.
screaming.
Airspeed
It's
check.
not.
Descending now.
Real panic is fragmentation.
Thrust reversers
Thoughts
deployed.
breaking
Green.
apart.
Set
Time
flaps 20 and
stretching,
complete the after
small
landing checklist,
decisions
please.
feeling enormous.
Roger that.
The
Flaps
human
20.
brain hates uncertainty more than danger. And over Lake Superior at 1:07 a.m., uncertainty was everywhere. The pilot
Cleared for
forced
the approach,
himself to
descend,
slow
and maintain
down.
flight level
This was his first
250.
survival decision, even before any technical maneuver. Slow the mind. He reduced inputs, held the aircraft steady. The co-pilot cross-checked manually using raw data, not processed displays. And that's when they found it. One instrument wasn't wrong. It was confidently wrong, frozen on a believable number, steady,
Confirming glide
calm,
slope capture.
convincing.
Altitude
It
2000,
hadn't
runway in
failed
sight.
dramatically. It had failed quietly, and the
Affirmative,
others were
maintaining flight
reacting to
level
it.
8000.
This is the most
Everything is
dangerous
reading
failure
green here.
mode in aviation. Because it doesn't scream for attention, it whispers reassurance. They identified it just in time. The pilot switched to backup references. The aircraft wasn't
Checklist
level.
complete after
It was
takeoff.
descending, slowly,
Continuous climb
relentlessly, toward black water. At 1:07 a.m.,
Come on, give me the right
pilot
reading.
made a decision that would later
Why
be
is that
studied.
gauge sticking?
He didn't correct aggressively. He corrected deliberately. Too much correction could have caused spatial disorientation. Too little would have been fatal. The co-pilot called out numbers steadily.
Altitude
Calm
steady at
voice,
12,000.
measured pace.
Confirmed.
The passengers in the back felt the shift, but not fear, not yet. The aircraft responded, not immediately, but enough. Altitude stabilized, then, slowly, began to increase. No
Before
cheers,
takeoff,
no
checklist
relief,
continued.
because they weren't safe yet.
Transponder
Not
automated
over Lake
standby.
Superior. They
Navigation
rerouted,
lights on.
requested assistance, kept voices
Confirmed.
level.
We
The
are
lake
good to
below
go.
remained invisible, but its presence was felt in every decision. 10 minutes passed, then 15. The shoreline lights finally reappeared, small, distant, but real. That's when the pilot exhaled for the first time in what felt like an hour. They landed without incident, taxied, parked. Only when the engine shut down did the weight of it hit them. They sat in silence, hands shaking,
Declaring emergency,
not
hydraulic
from fear,
failure confirmed.
from release.
We require immediate vectors.
People ask why some survive and others don't. They want a dramatic answer.
Captain, we are reaching
Luck,
flight level
fate,
350.
miracles.
The ride is smooth
But the
and
truth
the
is
systems
quieter.
are all
They
nominal.
lived because they respected uncertainty instead of fighting it. They slowed down when instinct screamed to rush. They trusted training over
Center, this
sensation.
is Aircraft
They
310,
communicated
maintaining
clearly,
flight level
without
31,000,
ego.
request weather
They
update.
recognized a subtle failure instead of waiting for a loud
Clipper
one.
32, maintain
And
flight level
maybe most
290.
important of all, they understood
Roger
the
that,
lake.
center.
They
Maintaining
didn't challenge
290.
it. They didn't assume it would forgive
Cruise
mistakes.
altitude, flight level
Weeks later,
340.
investigators
Fuel
confirmed the
remaining
failure.
7,000.
A rare
Systems
malfunction,
nominal.
documented but barely. One more minute of delay, and the story would have ended differently. No debris would have surfaced, no final transmission, just another mystery swallowed by deep, cold water. Lake Superior would have kept them. Most dangers don't look dangerous at
Integrated
first.
standby flight
They look
display
manageable,
checked.
temporary, explainable,
APU status
until they
normal.
aren't.
Secondary
This story
systems check
isn't
complete.
about aviation.
Center, November 38,
It's about
maintaining flight level
decision-making when
350, currently
information
banking
conflicts.
left.
About humility in the face of uncertainty. About choosing discipline over instinct. And if this story made you pause, even once, then it did its job. If you haven't already, subscribe to the
Clipper
channel.
41, cleared for visual
These
approach,
stories
runway
take
28
time to
right.
research,
Contact
time to
tower
tell,
118.3.
and they disappear fast if people
Flaps
stop
20
listening.
before landing
And
checklist.
tell me in the
Flaps
comments,
20, checklist
what do you
complete,
think was the
confirmed.
most important decision they made that night? Because sometimes survival comes down to one quiet moment over a dark lake. At 1:07 a.m.,